Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I am broadcasting to you from beautiful Budapest, the capital city of Hungary, situated on the two sides of the Danube. The one side called Buda and the other side called Pest. All right, I hope everybody's doing well today. Hi, Shanu. Good to see a member in class, nice and early. Hi, everybody who's joining in. Hi, John. Hi, Anu. Hi, Vishal. Hi, Sakita Murasa. Good to see you in class. And another member, Baljit, just joined in our ranks. Excellent. Good to see all of you today. We are looking at IELTS Speaking Part 2. This is an original question. It's brand new. I designed it myself yesterday. The materials are coming from our websites for academic IELTS. Check us out at aehelp.com. And for general IELTS, please visit us at gieltshelp.com. Both of these websites have a lot of great material for you to get a nice high band score when you sit the IELTS exam. Of course, as long as you use the material, study, and apply it during the exam. You can also download our app, the academic app from your iTunes and Play Store. Just search for Academic IELTS Help. And you can get our books from Amazon. Search for AE Helps Academic IELTS and GE Helps General IELTS. All right, students. So if you have questions, comments, concerns about our products or about IELTS, please do not hesitate to write me an email. My name, Adrian, at aehelp.com, and I will do my best to give you an answer to your inquiry. Our live streaming classes are usually Wednesdays to Sundays, 15 to 16 o'clock Central European Time. Today, speaking part 2. Tomorrow, we will be focusing on some reading strategy. And then on Saturday, some more reading strategy in our members chat class. One of our members requested that I do a class where we're matching people to information type question. Okay, 9th, 10th, 11th, no class. We're back on the 12th with some listening. All right, let's get to the speaking section. Good evening, Preeti. Nice to see another member in class. Fantastic. All right, everyone. So this is speaking. Make sure that you repeat me nice and loud, okay? So when I say a question or give an answer, make sure that you repeat nice and loud so you can hear yourself speaking, so you can feel your mouth and your tongue moving, form those English sounds. Copy my pronunciation, copy my intonation as closely as possible, and focus on what you are saying as well. All right, so IELTS speaking has 3 parts. Whether you're doing the paper-based test or the computer-based test, the speaking is always a face-to-face interview with an examiner in a one-on-one situation in an interview room. It is done usually the day before or sometimes the day after the written test. And it's made up of 3 parts. It will be about 10 to 12 minutes in length, and you will be asked about 10 to 15 questions, and you will be given a cue card questions on a card where you have to do a little mini speech or presentation. That's what we're focusing on today. So you walk into the speaking exam. Hopefully you got there at least 30 minutes before it started, okay? Aim for 1 hour, so if your bus or your train is late or you have trouble finding parking, then you still have lots of time. You're not stressed. You should not be stressing about being late. That is a terrible way to go into an IELTS speaking test. So arrive nice and early, find another student, take questions with you, and practice, warm up, okay? It is a really bad idea, students, when you go to an IELTS speaking exam and the first English words you say are to the examiner. Okay. Hi, Eugene. I really want. Hi, Appa. Nice to see you. You must be a new member. I haven't seen you before. So I'm going to actually write this down this time. I really want you to remember this. Okay. So this is a tip. I'm going to like 5-star this one because it's so important. It is really bad. Okay. I'll take out one of those A's so I don't sound like a sheep. Okay. So it is really bad if the first English you speak on the day of IELTS speaking test is with the examiner. Okay? That's not a good way to get a high band score. So if you've been speaking Mandarin, Portuguese, German, Punjabi, Hindi, and then suddenly you're knock, 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 opens the door, in you walk, and now, oh, I'm switching to English. Okay, great. My name. Okay, yes, my name is Peter Smith. That's not a good way. Okay, that's really not a good way to get a high band score. So you must warm up your brain and your tongue by speaking English as much as possible, even if you're speaking to a mirror or the wall or your plush toy pink elephant. I don't care. Just speak English to anything, anyone. If it's your favorite rock that you found on the beach, speak English to it, okay? So warm up your brain and your tongue by speaking English as much as possible in the 24 hours leading up to your speaking test. Get to the exam an hour early and ask a student to practice questions with you. Okay, just following this one tip, okay, just following this advice, I guarantee your band score will be at least a 0.5, if not a full band better. All right, so I've talked your ear off with this because I know how important it is. Make sure you do it. Now, you walk into the exam, your English speaking muscles and brain cells are all warmed up, you're ready to go. You walk in the room, there's an examiner sitting there. Immediately, you stop stressing, you visualize, you picture this is your grandfather, this is your grandmother who speaks English. You will speak nice, loud, clear, respectful to this person. They love you. They care for you. They're not going to be angry at you. You're there to do a job. They're there to do a job. Just relax. The sun will shine tomorrow. And then the examiner will begin by saying, welcome to the speaking portion of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. May I see your identification, please? Okay, make sure you answer that question clearly with natural English. Yes, here you are. Or yes, here you go. Please take a look. Okay, repeat after me. Yes, here you are. Please have a look. Okay, all right. Or yeah, sure, Pranay is a good way to do it as well. All right, and then the examiner, they'll check your identification, make sure you're not using a doppelganger. That happens in the IELTS where people try to cheat and use a lookalike who speaks better English. So they'll check the picture, they'll check the information, they'll match it up with what they have in the registration, and then they'll say, what is your full name? Now, that question they always follow with, what should I call you? Okay, so answer those two questions in one go. Go ahead, students, answer that question for me. All right. Yes, certainly here it is a good way to answer that identification question as well. Yato, Hinji, I think your name's Yato. Okay. So what is your full name? Here's a classic answer that works. My family name is Thompson, and my given name is Peter. Please just call me Pete. Okay, that's a good way to do it. Baljit says, my full name is Baljit Singh. Please refer to me as Baljit. That's great, Baljit. It's nice, respectful, natural, good. Nahid says, my full name is MD Naheem Hussein. You can call me Nahid. That works as well, okay? Shanu says, my surname is Devgan. My given name is Shanu. Please just call me Shanu. Okay, Poshan says, you can simply just call me Poshan. You can simply just call me Poshan. Is a more natural way to say that. Vanity Shan says, my last name is Jukipli and my first name is Shahnaz, but I'm commonly referred to as Shan. Don't say, but I'm commonly referred to. Say, my friends refer to me as, or my friends and family refer to me as Shan. It's strange to say I'm commonly referred to as. So please just call me Shan, okay? But it's a nice way to go, Vanity. It's a good way, all right? All right, a lot of good answers there. And then they'll ask you maybe one or two more questions to help you to feel comfortable and confident, some icebreaker questions. They'll say, okay, now for part one, I'll get to know you a little bit better and ask you some questions on a general topic. What helps you to relax? Okay, so what helps you to relax? Give me a nice answer for this question. I'm going to type an answer here myself, and then I'll look at your answers, okay? So what helps you to relax? All right. So while you're thinking about your answers and writing them down, repeat after me. What helps you to relax? Nice and loud, students. What helps you to relax? When I feel stressed, I do a bit of yoga, or simply put, stretching helps me feel at ease. In fact, I started my day with 30 minutes of stretching before I came to this interview, as I felt quite nervous about it. Okay, so one more time. When I feel stressed, a bit of yoga, or simply put, stretching, helps me to feel at ease. In fact, I started my day with 30 minutes of stretching before I came to this interview, as I felt quite nervous about it. All right, Baljit says, well, I go to the gym daily in the evening, where I spend a nice 2 hours working out and hanging out with my gym squad. That helps me to relax. Okay, that was pretty good. Jot Kaur says, music is one activity. Jot Kaur, don't use the word thing, okay? This is for all students. You want to avoid the word thing as much as possible. In fact, don't say it at all if you can, because thing has no value, okay? The word thing has no value. So replace it with a better noun. Jot, in your case, activity. So music is one of the only activities that can provide me with relaxation. So whenever I feel stressed, I listen to a little bit of jazz. And let me tell you, I listened to some jazz this morning. All right, Jot Kaur, go that extra step. Put in that example, okay? What kind of music? Classical music, rock and roll, heavy metal, dubstep. So name the music that helps you to relax. All right? Okay. Marasa says, a morning walk always helps me to be very relaxed. For example, yesterday morning I had a headache. and I went to the city park. The birds chirping and the pristine weather definitely put my mind at ease and my headache subsided. Okay, that would be some nice vocabulary and some correction there, Marasa. All right. Naveen says, I usually read sports magazines to unwind myself from stress of work or family. Occasionally, I prefer watching a good movie. Again, don't forget to include those examples, students. All right, I'll read one more and then we'll keep going here. So the jungle says, well, I need to relax. Well, when I need to relax, I usually go to exercise at the gym. Lifting weights makes me feel at ease. For instance, yesterday I had a very intense workout, which burnt up all my excess energy that was making me uncomfortable. Okay, good. In the jungle, just remember, here's another tip. Again, this is for all students. Don't double up your words, okay? So in the jungle says, when I need to relax, I usually go to exercise or work out at the gym. No, you don't go to exercise or work out at the gym. You go to exercise at the gym or you go and work out at the gym. Those two words have the exact same meaning, exercise and work out. Students think that they get more points in their speaking or their writing if they double words with paraphrasing like that, saying exercise or workout, but you don't. You actually lose marks when you do that. Why? You're wasting time. It's unnatural. It's strange to be doubling up words in the same sentence. And you're taking time from giving more information, giving different words. So when you double up your words like that in your writing or in your speaking, you lose marks. So don't do that, okay? Choose one word, use it, move on, give new information, all right? Okay, next question. Kesey, I see you have a good answer as well, but I got to get to some other questions here, so let's keep rocking and rolling. All right. And then the examiner will say, all right, now I'm going to ask you some more questions for part one. Let's talk about city life. Why do people like living in cities? Okay, so give me a nice answer for this question. Why do people like living in cities? I'm going to type up my own answer here while you think about yours. Again, try to be as quick as possible. This is speaking, so you can't take too long to answer this. And make sure that if you need some time, you know how to buy time. All right, so here's my nice lengthy answer. Again, it might seem like this is long, but it's really not. For speaking, this is not a very long answer. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Now, don't forget, for your eyes, I'm sure many of you using smartphones to watch this lesson. I'm using size 16 font, so that's why I don't actually have that many words in one line. I'm always answering the question, explaining it, thinking about an example, okay? Barry KML says, people like living in cities because it's easier and things get more handy. Again, don't use the word things, Barry. People like living in cities because it's easier and products and services are readily available. Carrie, if you say products and services instead of the word things, your band score is going up. Okay, things does not get you scores. Products and services gets you scores. So people like living in cities because it's easier and products and services are more available. For example, my family and I moved to a city because we did not have a university in my hometown. All right. Juan Pablo says, for instance, Juan Pablo, I'm guessing there's a start tier. Yep, there it is. Juan Pablo, in my opinion, individuals enjoy living in cities because of the amenities and exciting lifestyle. Beautiful start, Juan Pablo. Nice use of the word amenities and exciting lifestyle. For instance, there are many shopping centers with a plethora of distractions, which are difficult to find in the countryside. You might even go as far as saying impossible to find in the countryside, okay? Or not possible to find in the countryside. All right, repeat my answer after me. Again, let's start with the question. Why do people like living in cities? Well, that is a common and important question for many people. I suppose a large part of the population enjoys spending their life in cities because there are many activities to choose from on a regular basis, like going to the cinemas, the gym, or various restaurants. I live in a large city, Vancouver, and I went to a great Korean barbecue restaurant just last week. This is great. Okay. So that is a good answer there. I'm going to correct that awkward spelling mistake part. All right. Good. So again, today we are focusing on part 2. So I'm going to skip this next question, the what are common kinds of buildings, and we'll get right into part 2, okay? Now, of course, in part 1, the examiner, especially if you're doing a good job, will likely ask you at least 2-3 more questions. Follow the same strategy, answer what, why, give me an example. And then the examiner will say, okay, that is the end of part 1. Now for part 2, here is a card. Please don't turn that over. There are some questions on the card. Here is some note paper. Here is a pen. You will have 1 minute to read the questions, think about your answer, take notes if you wish, and then you will have 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start and when to stop. Are you ready to begin? And in that situation, don't just stare blindly at them like, because then they'll be like, well, probably you're not really ready, but your time starts anyway. So just stay relaxed, calm, loosen up. If you remember this, might be a good idea just to roll your shoulders a little bit, because at this point you might be sitting quite rigid in your chair in the speaking interview room, and that's not good, right? You need to breathe and you need to be relaxed. So roll your shoulders a little bit. Take a deep breath and just say, yes, I'm ready to begin. And then the examiner will say, okay, your 1 minute preparation time begins now. So you turn over the card, you see the questions, you grab that pen or pencil, and you start to think about what to write down in this 1 minute. 1 minute, ladies and gents, you think it's not a lot of time, but it's a lot of time. Let me tell you, if you ask a fruit fly, which only lives about 24 hours, they would say, hey, if I could have an extra minute in life, that would be fantastic. 1 minute is 60 seconds. If you count seconds, as we do in English, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9 1,000. You count to 60 like that, you realize that 60 seconds is a bit of time. So don't panic. Your first and most important step is to understand the topic and the controlling idea, okay? You really need to understand the topic and controlling idea. Even if you're answering part 1 and part 3 really well, if you're completely off topic for part 2 because you didn't read the question properly or you didn't understand it clearly and you talk about something different or something close but still different, your mark's going to go and implode in on itself. So don't do that. So make sure that you think about the topic, figure that out, make sure you know it well, the controlling idea, and you choose a good answer, okay? You can't plan notes if you don't know what you're going to talk about. And I've seen so many students do that. I've seen so many students start taking notes after they quickly read the questions, and I can already see from across the table that they really did not pay attention to the question, okay? So careful. All right, so let's read this question. Talk about a person who made a positive change in the world, okay? Who the person is or was, when and where did the person live, or does the person live? What kind of benefit did the person create for society? How can society learn from this person's actions for the future? Fantastic. So obviously here we're talking about a person. Topic is a person. And what's the controlling idea? What are we actually talking about here? What's the main controlling idea here? Okay. So Anu Rai says, I want to talk about Nelson Mandela. He is from Brazil and belongs to a black community. He sacrificed 27 years of his life for making equality for black and white people. Anu, you're jumping at it a little bit too fast, I think. John P.D. Joshi, my grandpa was an idol who gives me positive energy. We're not talking about your grandpa. We're not talking about a person who gave you positive energy, okay? That's not the goal. It's a person who created positive change where? So Preeti says positive change. David Wong says positive change. Hanji Yato says positive change. But it's not enough. Positive change where? If you just talk about a person who created a positive change, you might not get a very good IELTS score here. If you talk about your grandpa who made a positive change in your life, you will not get a good score. And Baljit explains to all of our viewers why. Because he says, the question says in the world, okay? So positive change in the world, not just society, Shanu. Society even might be a little bit small. So something that had a global effect, okay? So that makes it a little bit more challenging. It's not just any person, but you have to think of someone who changed the world for a better place, okay? So, or arguably a better place. So person who positively affected the world for the better. Okay, so now what would 9 of 10 people answer for this? Okay, so you'll probably get a lot of different answers, but the question here is, what are the most popular choices? So if you asked a lot of people around the world to say, who is someone who has made a positive change in the world, who is alive today or lived in the past, who do you think would be some good answers? So we have Bill Gates, we have Gandhi, we have Gates. Who else? Valdine says maybe Steve Jobs. Sure, I think so far those are some good answers. Mandela, Florence Nightingale, Mother Teresa. Okay. Qaid-e-Azam, sure. The Dalai Lama, who is not particularly a person, but it's more of a position, right? If you have some good Nobel Prize winners, sure. Sigmund Freud, Thomas Edison, Donald Trump is coming up, Elon Musk, sure. Those are all some great choices, all right? So those would be popular, and I'm sure that many people would choose these as possible answers. And I'm sure many of you are already thinking, okay, why and how and so on, right? So Abraham Lincoln, Vishal, it would be a great choice as well. He's an iconic figure in history, absolutely. Careful with choosing a position instead of an actual person. So Dalai Lama would be more of a position than an actual person. If you say the Pope, that would be more of a position than a person, or the president would be more of a position than a person. So careful with that, because you could get yourself stuck in a very difficult conversation, okay? All right. So let's stick with one, and then we'll keep going. So we've talked about Gandhi in past lessons. We've used Steve Jobs in past lessons. I think I've thrown a couple of Elon Musks there as well. But Mother Teresa, and I believe now she is called Saint Teresa. She has been sanctified by the church for her activities, as far as I know. So we can say Teresa, or Mother Teresa, as one. All right, so who is she? Now, before we get in there, when you're describing a person, so when talking about a person, regardless of the question, so it doesn't matter what the question is, you need to think about 3-4 important points, okay? To talk clearly about a person, describe their appearance. Okay, so what they look like. And then talk about their activities, or their personality, backed up by action. Okay? So personality is always backed up by action. If you say, oh, she was kind, then back it up with action. She helped people. Okay? So here we go. Let's talk about Mother Teresa a little bit. What did Mother Teresa look like? Can anybody tell me her characteristics, her physical characteristics? What did Mother Teresa actually look like in life? What was her appearance? Okay, so let's actually answer this question. The reason why some students have said to me, Adrian, why do I have to say what a person looks like even if the question's not asking me? Because you create a picture, you paint a picture. Good communication is visual, because humans are visual. That's why we love television. That's why we love our smartphones, because we love visual stimulation. So if you want to communicate well, then you want to create a visual atmosphere. So you should say a couple quick sentences about what the person looks like, okay? So Monica Chadhari says she's a woman of small stature. Yeah, absolutely. Mother Teresa was not a very big person. So a woman of small stature. Anu says she is an ugly woman, but beautiful on the inside. I don't know. Maybe some people might have thought of her as beautiful on the outside as well. I don't think she was particularly ugly. She was thin. Yeah, she wore ordinary clothes. She was definitely not a fashion model. Okay. Lived to a long, or lived to an old age. Okay. At which time her face was full of wrinkles that she had collected. Okay, good. And now, so, okay, she's about 5 feet tall. That's good. So good. You don't need to say much about the appearance, just enough to create basically a picture that your listener can then follow. So, a woman of small stature, thin, wore ordinary clothes, often robes. As she was a nun. None. Okay, I'm gonna check the spelling there in a second. Okay, so good. Had long hair. That was often covered by a scarf. I'm sure that has a special name, but it doesn't matter. You can just say scarf, okay? So good. All right. Now we know that much. So here we've got her appearance. Before we look at the questions and really start answering the card, let's just quickly go through the other parts here. So, what's her personality? Don't jump around, okay? She always had a big smile on her face. We'll throw that in there. Okay. Um, what was her personality like? What was Mother Teresa like as a person? Okay. Tell me about her as a person. Okay. So, Pranay says kind hearted. Sure. She was a strong woman. She's charismatic. It's a good one. Okay, what else can we talk? What else can we say about her? She was willful. Yeah, willful, strong woman. Okay, we have that. She was a leader. Okay, you'll see why I'm doing that as a list right now. So here, if I'm doing my 1 minute of notes, right, then I want to list these personalities. So kind-hearted, charismatic, strong woman. Okay, generous. Okay, courageous. I would say is definitely one of her traits as being courageous. She was sympathetic. Okay, so she could really sympathize with people. We could even say empathetic because she was diabetic. Right? Okay. All right, good. So lots of information there. Careful not to get too carried away. And then, so that's her personality. Now remember that you need to back each one of these up with action. So why was she kind-hearted? She was kind-hearted because she dedicated her life to helping the least fortunate of society. Okay, why was she charismatic? So start answering these with actions, okay? So why was she a charismatic woman? Why was she a strong woman? What action of Mother Teresa's proves that she was a strong woman? What action in her life proves that she was a leader? What action in her life proves that she was generous? What action proves that she was courageous? What action proves that she was empathetic? Okay? Gameraz is asking, what does charismatic mean? Charismatic means approachable, Gameraz. It means that it's a person who seems very friendly, easy to talk to, somebody that you can hug. Santa Claus is a good image of a charismatic person, okay? John F. Kennedy, a lot of people argue, is one of the most charismatic presidents in U.S. history, for instance. So easy to love, easy to talk to, easy to get along with. That's what charismatic means. So why? Okay, so Juan Pablo says because she spent much of her time with children. So we can put that where charismatic. And she always spoke in a calm and caring way, right? Whenever you see interviews with Mother Teresa, she's always speaking very calm, very wise, very collected. She's not stressing. You can tell she's honest and genuine. So that is some good ways to back up charismatic, although you want to stay with real actions as much as possible. Okay, why was she a strong woman? Okay, don't forget to use quantitative language in your part 2. So why was she a strong woman? What makes her strong? Massimo says she could have been infected. She worked with a lot of ill people. Yeah, she worked with people who had leprosy. Leprosy is a disease that eats away at the human body, and parts of the body start to fall off. So she worked with some very ill people, people who have contagious diseases, and she was never scared about that. So that would go with courageous, right? So she helped many very sick people with contagious diseases. Sure. Like leprosy. I don't know how to spell that word. I never write it. All right. So absolutely. So Oman says this is a very boring topic to describe. Oman, maybe so. Yeah, maybe talking about Mother Teresa changing the world for a better place and setting an example is very boring. But remember, students, on IELTS, you're there to do a job. IELTS is a step for a future goal. So you're not there to be entertained or excited by what you're doing. And I'm stopping here because I've heard this from students before. Like, what if I get a boring topic, or I don't care about that, or I'm not interested? Well, you should be. Make yourself interested. Find it the most amazing topic to talk about for that 10 minutes while you're in that IELTS interview, no matter what the questions are and what the part 2 topics are, because that will affect your speaking style and it will affect your score. And guess what? The examiner does not care if you find the topic interesting or boring. They're just going to give you a mark. And if you get a lower mark than what you need to go to university or immigrate, then it's going to be your bad for not trying hard enough because you thought it was boring. All right, so that's actually a really good point. Some students tend to forget that. You're there to do a job, okay? All right, so here we go. Let's have a look. Why was she a leader? Because she was often in the media. And she inspired many others to help. Why was she generous? She gave more than 10 hours a day for 70 years of her life to help people in need. Okay, so those are all some good answers there to explain those personalities. Try to be quantitative when you can. So she gave 10 to 12 hours a day for 70 years of her life, helping people who are sick and who are in need. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. So now you should be able to do this quite fast in the 1 minute, and then put it all together, okay? So, so far so good. Have your first sentence ready. When the examiner says, okay, your 1 minute preparation time is up, please begin speaking, then you need to have that first sentence ready. Don't start with things like, or don't start with sentences like, Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about a person who positively changed the world. You just wasted 10 seconds of my life, your life, and this IELTS exam. You don't need to thank me. You just paid $300 US for this exam. So, of course, your opportunity is here to prove your English level. I'm not saying that to be rude, girls and guys, but really, you're there to do a job. So get into it, okay? So when the person says begin speaking, you have to have a very clear, direct answer ready to go. So, an iconic individual who most people agree has had a very good impact on global society is Mother Teresa, okay? So that's my first sentence. I think about that in my 1 minute preparation time, and that's what I open with, okay? So I open with that and I get right into it. You start with that, your band score is going up because I say, hey, here's a person who's got great fluency, great complex English, they have very good critical thinking, and they answer me right away, okay? So repeat after me. An iconic individual who most people agree has had a very good impact on global society is Mother Teresa. She is a woman of small stature, quite thin most of her life whenever seen on TV or in pictures. She always wore ordinary clothes because she never spent a lot of money, and the money that she got donated or had, she gave to others. She's often seen wearing a white robe, as of course she was a nun of the Catholic Church. She had long hair, but this was usually covered up by a scarf. She lived to an old age and always had an ear-to-ear smile. As many people know, Mother Teresa was one of the most kind-hearted people to walk the earth in the last century. She not only dedicated her life to helping the less fortunate in society, but also she was a very brave woman who often helped extremely ill people who were terminally sick with different kinds of illnesses, ranging from cancer to leprosy. She was never worried that she would catch the disease herself, and even though she was often in close proximity to them. She was a very empathetic individual because, as some people know, she herself was a diabetic. So she knew that there were many challenges when dealing with serious illness. In fact, Mother Teresa was also a leader. She inspired many others to volunteer their time. She was a woman who was generous and gave more than 10 to 12 hours of every day to helping those who were in need for at least 70, maybe even more years. Now here, I take a second, okay, take a couple seconds, look at my notes. So I'm using my notes to create my speech. And then I look back at the card, okay? To make sure that I'm answering all the questions, all right? You need to be answering all the questions. So who the person is, I'm answering. What kind of benefit they gave to society, I'm answering. And these two questions, when and where did the person live, and how can society learn from this person's actions for the future, I have not answered. So I'm going to answer those questions next. As far as I know, Mother Teresa was born a Brazilian where she spent most of her life, although she did travel to many other parts of the world, helping wherever she was needed. She lived mostly in the 20th century, and I know that she's passed away a few years ago. I'm not sure exactly when. The big lessons that society can learn from Mother Teresa is that kindness and empathy are the most important human characteristics, and this is what's needed for a happy and prosperous society that thrives in the future. Okay, so now I've answered these questions as well, and I've probably hit that 2-minute mark or very close to, all right? So I've made sure to look back at the card, answer those questions, and use my notes. So many students don't do that, okay? When you take notes in the 1 minute, and the reason why the examiner lets you have that card in front of you is so that you can do that. If you forget to answer the questions on the card, if you don't use your notes and you just keep repeating the same information, which I see many students do, then your scores will not be nearly as good as they could be. All right. So you're thinking, wow, Adrian, yeah, of course, if I spoke English like you, I'd have no problem doing what you just did. That's not true. Okay. I've challenged my friends and other native speakers to give little 2-minute mini speeches. When you don't practice this at home, when you don't follow the structure, when you don't know what you're doing, this is difficult in any language. If you don't agree with me, try it in your own language. Okay. Try to speak for 2 minutes where you include new information and it's intelligently coherent and connected using good grammar, and you'll realize that it takes practice even in your own language. So again, remember from today's lesson, go to the IELTS exam early, warm up your English neurons, brain cells, and muscles of your mouth. Talk to somebody else. You should not be using English for the first time that day as you walk into the exam room, okay? And then make sure that for part 2, you don't panic. 1 minute is lots of time. Identify the topic and the controlling idea, positive change in the world, very, very accurately, okay? And then make sure to realize that here you're talking about a person. When talking about a person, you think about their appearance, you think about their personality, and you always back up the personality with action, okay? So they are angry, they always run around, their face is looking red, and they yell at other people, so back it up with action. And then give examples, quantitative language, connect as much as possible, and you will do absolutely great. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of part 2 for today. Don't worry if you missed some of that, or if you're thinking, hey, Adrian, some of that was too hard, I couldn't follow it. This will be up on the channel for you, so you can review it, you can practice it. Watch that section again and again where I'm actually doing the little speech, okay? All right, students, any questions about task 2? Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, this video will be on YouTube. So some of you are saying, please save this on YouTube. It will be on YouTube. So you will see this after the recording's done, and YouTube processes the information in about 30-40 minutes to do that. Then it will be available for you to review again. Okay. John P.D. Joshi says, next time, please talk about Gautam Buddha. Well, if I have a historical figure type question, we could certainly chalk that up as a candidate for that one. Baljit's asking a good question. Baljit says, sir, can we talk here something about technology, like Ratan Tata, the man who introduced electric vehicles to the world? Yes, Baljit, absolutely. I think somebody mentioned Thomas Edison as somebody who had positive change on society, because Thomas Edison is accredited with the invention of the light bulb, although many people say he didn't invent it, he just made it widely available or perfected the light bulb. But that absolutely has had a positive impact on the way society functions. And I think that's why Steve Jobs and Bill Gates was mentioned, because they brought about technology which has been impacting society and arguably positively impacting society. So yes, Baljit, as long as you can make the connection between person, the technology that they helped to create or they created and how that technology positively influenced society, that would be a good answer for this question, okay? We don't have time, Olajid, for part 3 in this class, but I'll do a part 3 next time, okay, in the future, all right? Manrad Hawa says, passed away a few years ago without specific date is positive. Yeah, if you say this person passed away a few years ago, it's fine. You don't have to say they passed away in 2011. Or you could just make it up and say they passed away in 2008. Nobody cares if it's true or not, okay? All right, David Wong, you are very welcome. And to all of you, thank you for watching. Make sure to practice these skills at home because practice does make perfect. Again, for all of our videos, over 100 hours of lesson videos, not just like these live classes, but actually professionally recorded HD lesson videos, as well as 6 full practice exams and a fully interactive course for your phone, tablet, PC. AEhelp.com for academic IELTS, GIELTShelp.com for general IELTS, academic IELTS help in your app store, and AE Helps Academic IELTS or GE Helps General IELTS on your Amazon bookstore for our materials. Tomorrow we'll get into some reading strategy. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Again, practice, practice, practice. Much love to all of you. Share kindness and empathy with others. Believe in yourself. I believe in you. Have a great rest of your day and sweet dreams to those of you who are going to bed. Bye for now, everyone.